Warning: the video you are about to see contains images of Robert the Doll. Robert the Doll is believed to curse anyone who takes his picture or views his photograph without having asked his permission first. Many disbelievers have found themselves writing an apologetic letter to Robert after doubting in him, disrespecting him, or simply viewing photographic images of him. The creator is not responsible for any unfortunate events that may follow after viewing this video. If you suffer from pediophobia, this video may not be suitable for you. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello, fellow sinners, and welcome. Today we will be touching the topic or discussing the story about Robert the Doll, one of the dolls who is believed to be the most haunted in America. Yeah, he's in America. Robert is a doll created at the turn of the century. He's about 3 feet tall, stuffed with straw, has buttons for eyes, and hair that changes color as he ages. The Steiff Company may be responsible for the manufacturing of Robert the Doll. However, he may have originally worn a clown outfit and not the famous sailor suit he wears today. The sailor suit he now wears once belonged to his owner, Robert Eugene Otto. You see, Robert named the doll after himself and asked to be addressed as Gene moving forward, as Robert was now his doll's name. There are many different accounts and stories as to how Eugene came into possession of Robert the Doll. It is believed that Robert the Doll was gifted to Eugene by an angry servant who cursed the doll with voodoo. William and his wife Emmeline were servants to the Otto family. Some believe that Eugene's father, Thomas Otto, had an affair with his servant's wife, Emmeline. Somewhere between the year 1900 to 1910, Emmeline lost a child. Could this child have possibly been conceived from that affair? Could this have led to Amelia cursing the doll out of anger? Others believe Amelia somehow was able to attach the spirit of her lost child to the doll. Gene's parents, Thomas Osgood Otto and Minnie Elizabeth Otto, had 5 children. Eugene Otto, being the youngest child, didn't really have anyone to play with, and so upon receiving the doll, he and Robert would become inseparable. Now, most of us probably had an attachment to some sort of toy or stuffed animal as kids, but Eugene and Robert's connection seemed a bit more unusual. Whenever there was a sign of any mischief or misbehaviors, for example, if any items were found broken or out of place, Eugene's parents would attempt to address the situation, but Eugene would insist Robert did it. Eugene's parents would also often hear 2 voices coming from the playroom, and when checking the room, Eugene would be alone with Robert. Aside from his love for Robert the Doll, Eugene also had a love for art and painting. It is said he could paint before he could talk. Eugene eventually grew up and decided to pursue an education in the arts. Leaving Robert behind, he went on to attend the Academy of Fine Arts in Chicago, the Art Students League of New York, before finally moving to Paris, where he would meet Annette Parker, a talented pianist. Annette Parker would later become Eugene's wife, and despite having a music career that was taking off, she decided to drop everything to please her husband. The two then returned to Key West, and Eugene and Robert became inseparable yet again. Keep in mind, Eugene was a grown man at this point. If Eugene would lose his temper or behave in a tasteless manner, he would resort back to his old ways and state, "Robert did it." As you can imagine, Annette was not too fond of Robert, and she was shocked to find Eugene had created a special room for Robert in the attic that even included furniture adequately sized, especially for him. Eugene would also sit Robert in a room to accompany him while he would paint. Occasionally, Eugene would sit Robert in the turret window, looking out, and the people walking by would claim to see Robert move from one window to the other. And so, Eugene, Anne, and Robert lived together at 534 18th Street, and their home has come to be known as the Artist Home and is now a guest house where you can stop by and visit to this day. Eugene Otto passed on June 24th, 1974. Just months before his death, Eugene would spend most of his time in the attic talking to Robert. After Eugene passed, his wife Anne found out through his will that he had left her nothing. He had left everything to Robert. No, I'm just kidding. No, he had left everything to his sister, Mizpah. Can you imagine dropping everything for a man, abandoning a promising career as Annette did, just to support him with his career in painting in the arts, devoting her life entirely to him, only to find that he left her with nothing? Anne begged Eugene's sister Mizpah to at least let her keep the home. Mizpah agreed, but she was very careful or clever in her wording, as in the documents. So Mizpah stated that the home had in fact been left to Annette, but only the home, as in none of its belongings or the belongings, inside of the home. So pretty much the home's yours, but everything inside is not. As if that wasn't enough of a slap in the face to Anne or Annette, Anne asked if she could keep a portrait that Robert had painted of her. Literally her. It's literally her face in this painting. And even that was denied to her. Anne went on to sell the house to her neighbor, William Geyser, and she went on to move in with her sister. Anne left Robert the doll to William as well, and told him that Robert was to remain the sole occupant of the attic. William, who had purchased the home for Myrtle Reuter, left the doll with her. Myrtle seemed to initially take a liking to Robert, and she began caring for the doll. In an interview with Arthur Myers, she mentioned she would dress Robert in pajamas on Christmas Eve and place him by the tree. In February 1980, Myrtle moved and took Robert with her. After moving out, Myrtle started having strange encounters with Robert. Maybe he was upset or unhappy with the move. Myrtle came to her breaking point and decided to donate Robert to the Fort East Martello Museum, where he resides to this day. Upon donating Robert to the museum, Myrtle stated, "This is Robert. He is part of the Otto family. I can't stand him being in my house anymore." She explained to the museum staff that he would move on his own, and so she locked him in a room because of it. Only then, Robert ended up locking her in a room. "He's haunted," she'd go on to say. The gentleman from the museum explained Robert may be of some value, to which Myrtle replied by saying she didn't want to sell it, and she wasn't interested in getting anything in exchange. She just wanted Robert out of her possession. And so, Robert found his new home at the Fort East Martello Museum. After donating Robert, Myrtle ended up passing away less than 3 months later. Could this have been Robert's doing? Initially, Robert could be visited by appointment only, but people would request to see him so much that he was eventually put on display. They decided to give him his own display in a glass case where he sits today. Robert also, by the way, I forgot to mention, sits with a little stuffed animal. Some people say it's a dog. In some places I read it's a lion. I don't know, but it's a little stuffed animal. Okay. It is said the staff at the museum also feared Robert and witnessed strange occurrences, such as lights flickering, door slamming, and visitors would report problems when attempting to photograph Robert. They would experience camera troubles taking pictures only to find nothing when later processed. So some people would take pictures of Robert, and either the pictures of Robert would not come out or only the pictures of Robert would come out. And some people even reported they had taken pictures of several other things throughout the day, and they would find only pictures of Robert on the film. You see, there are rules at this museum even if you visit today. If you want to take a photograph of Robert, whether it's with your phone nowadays or whatever sort of mechanism you carry with you, you must ask permission to Robert first. If you don't, it is believed you will suffer the repercussions. It is believed Robert can curse you and bring you a great amount of bad luck, misfortune, etc. This is why you can also find a ton of letters at the museum, because the museum receives thousands of these letters of people apologizing to Robert, because whether they didn't ask for permission, or even if they did, but maybe Robert didn't agree with it, because I don't know, how are you supposed to know if Robert's okay with it or not? People who have either not asked permission or just not believed in Robert, disrespected him, or made fun or like jokes in any way in front of him or in his presence. If you through this video are doubting, who knows, Robert may come after you too. If you are interested in writing or visiting Robert the Doll, you can find him at the Fort East Martello Museum at 3501 South Roosevelt Boulevard in Key West, Florida. You can also visit www.robertthedoll.org for further information, or if you're interested in purchasing some cool little replica dolls, they're also on there, and you can find many of the thousands of letters that people have sent to Robert. Before I wrap up this video, I would like to take a moment to thank Robert and express that while I was researching this story, I did so with the utmost respect. My intention was never to offend or disrespect you in any way. I found your story very intriguing and fascinating, and I did my best to deliver it in a way that you would approve of. I apologize if I offended you in any way, shape, or form, and I hope to stop by and visit you in person someday if I get the opportunity. Thank you, Robert, on behalf of myself and all who may end up viewing this video. And thank you for watching this video. You may want to leave a brief apology or a quick thank you to Robert in the comments down below, just in case. Thank you and have a good night.